rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events, this is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Yeah, I thought I could get it in under the gun. Can't type quite as fast as somebody like, say, my mother-in-law did. Oh my gosh, that woman. Whew, she could type at like 110, 120 words a minute, and it would be accurate too. Oh, sorry, I just got corrected by Mrs. Whiskey. It's 135. Holy crap. Talk about speed demon. Oh, man. And she, you know, toward, God rest her soul, but toward the end, I mean, her knuckles and her hands, they look like they were, you know, all kind of, anyway, yeah, it just, it was amazing. I asked her to like type out something. I don't remember what it was. And she goes, well, how long? I'm like, how long do you think it'll do? And she goes, well, how long do you have to be here? And I said, oh, no, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. She goes, all right, I'll be done in 2. I'm like, what the heck? I mean, oh my gosh. Wow. So I'm barely making like 30 words a minute if I'm lucky. Anyway, sorry. I wanted to type something. I typed something in the chat and I got a little out of hand. You know, I get distracted sometimes. All right, let's go ahead and get things kicked off here with a new submission to the Pledge of Allegiance. That is right, folks. In her debut, right here on the American Perspective, Mrs. Whiskey's version of the Pledge of Allegiance is up tonight. So, if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one, and follow along with the Mrs. as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I thank you, Mrs. Whiskey, for giving us that version of the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would like to hear your rendition played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting the pledge in your style, and then take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file that is, attach it to an email, and send it off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online. And you will be put in the rotation just like Mrs. Whiskey. I got to tell you, when she did it, she flubbed up the first take. Oh, it was funny. She started laughing in the middle of it. I don't know why, but, you know, I mean, because, come on, the pledge, it's serious. Yeah. Well, it could have something to do with her husband kind of giving her some teasing and, you know, making her laugh. Anyway. All right. Tonight is Wednesday, and so that being said, it is...
Down to business.
That's the nectar of the gods, baby.
That's right, it's Whiskey Wednesday. It's like Taco Tuesday, but for badasses. And tonight I finished off my bottle of Woodford Reserve Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I finished it off. You can see, oh, there's maybe a swallow, another little swallow right there in the end. So, yeah, unfortunately I didn't record that. Three Chevy is saying we want that version, meaning I think the version of the pledge where she was cracking up and I was giving her crap. Well, unfortunately, I threw away the recording. Sorry, no goof ups on that. But anyway, tonight drinking out of the, of course, True Grit Roots Network glass. the stones, because it takes stones to drink with whiskey. And here we go. And I'm being told by Bonnie that I got to take the last shot, the last little sip right there, out of the bottle, into the mouth. There it goes. Ooh. Woo-hoo-hoo. There you go. All right. Now it's ending. Anyway. Oh, you want me to do goof up take 2? Nah, no, that's not going to happen. All right. So tonight, of course, because it is True Grit Roots Network night, TGRN, that is tonight's headline sponsor, provided I could, yeah, there we go. TGRN.net. That stands for True Grit Roots Network. We have 2, count them, 2 active channels currently playing 24/7, 365. The first is Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio, and that one has been going for quite some time. That covers the blues, rock, and some more of like the bluesish kind of rock kind of, I don't know. I can't really clear that out. But we just launched at the beginning of the month. We launched Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio, which is a country southern rock outlaw mix. And that one's been running for about a month. And I got to tell you, I thank all of you who listen, and so does my partners, I should say. We thank all of you for listening, because both Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio and Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio achieved 1,000 listening hours, over 1,000 listening hours this month. So you understand kind of the magnitude of this. For every time that somebody listens to a radio station, okay, and they're there long enough, I mean, as far as the radio station and as far as on the internet, but as long as somebody goes and attempts to connect to the either one of these channels, they're there for probably, I think it's like 5 minutes or something, that is counted as an attempt at a session. Well, the longer you listen, obviously, the longer that ticker goes. And so one of the things that makes us being the thing, makes us happy, of course, is seeing how many people are not only listening at any one given point in time, but also how many stick around. Because let's be honest, if you don't like what we're playing, you're going to shut it off. You're going to go somewhere else. And so having those listening hours and seeing those listening hours, it makes all of us happy. We know we've got a good product. And so, we got to make sure that we're doing things right. And it looks like, at least for 1,000 listening hours, considering we just launched at Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio just this month, is just incredible. Keep it going, folks. I'm telling you, keep listening to either one or both. If you're in the mood for blues, switch over to Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio. If you're in the mood for country and some southern rock and some more outlaw sounds, head on over to Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio. Take a listen to both of them. Yeah, keep it up. We appreciate you because, of course, it's all about our making sure that our product that we put out, just like this show, that our product that we put out is good enough to keep you coming back for more. And, of course, I thank my longtime Whiskey Warrior P1s for hanging out and being a part of this show, as well as checking out all of the things that are going on at TGRN. That is True Grit Roots Network. TGRN is where TGRN.net is where we have our place on the internet. Go and check us out. You can listen directly right there through your browser, or if you already have the Live 365, iHeartRadio, or Odyssey, AUDACY apps, you can search us up in their catalog of digital radio stations, and you can listen 24/7, 365. Once again, that's TGRN stands for True Grit Roots Network with Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio and Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio, found at tgrn.net. TGRN is based out of Austin, Texas. All right. There we go. I think I did that a little too long, but that's okay. You guys know about all that. All right. Well, you know, if you thought that the Trump administration was going to be able to fix things overnight, like the leftist media morons seem to think that just because Donald Trump stepped into office, that all of a sudden everything is going to go back to normal, or well, not normal for them, but normal for us, that all of a sudden everything is going to go back to normal, and we're going to have just this fantastic time about it. And no, that's not the case, because as you all know, listening to this program, the deep state runs deep. And by the deep state, I mean the embedded bureaucracy, okay? The embedded bureaucracy that is everything running around. Here, in the populous times, a survey, most Democrat federal bureaucrats vow to resist Trump and disobey lawful orders. That's right. There was a study done by the Napolitan Institute. That's Napolitan Institute. They released a new report. They actually have two reports. The first one was in January of 2025. This one is after the first 100 days. And according to this survey, this report, the vast majority of federal employees who voted for former Vice President Kamala Harris are currently willing to disobey Trump's lawful orders, according to this. The finding comes as Democrats nationwide continue to make calls for resistance, which seems to be what's reverberating across the federal service. Yeah. So the poll, which was done by the Napolitan Institute, found that just over 3/4, roughly 76% of Democrat voting federal employees who voted for Harris said they will, quote, resist the Trump administration for the next 4 years, seemingly for no reason except their political beliefs. Now, here's the thing out of this, okay? Here's the thing out of this. Oh, gee, I know where that song comes from. I'm dating myself, but I know where that song comes from. G over on Rumble put up a lyric from a song. It said, "Hello, Dad. I'm calling you from jail." Anyway, that's kind of my best impression on that. Anyway, that was one of my favorite movies when I was growing up. All right, so let me get back to the story. So anyway, the poll is basically asked the question, looking ahead to the next 4 years, will your political efforts be primarily to support the Trump administration or resist the Trump administration? Yeah, well, 41% said that they will strongly resist. 35% said they will somewhat resist. And that, of course, brings the total number to 76%. Folks, the problem is not necessarily our voted in representatives. And I've said this on this program before. The problem is not necessarily the representatives that have been voted in, although believe me, they are a problem, and especially if you live in a staunch blue state like I do, they are horribly, horribly bad. And every single election cycle, you always wish that they are going to go away. But unfortunately, that isn't the case. The problem is not those folks, because let's be serious here. When in the last, I don't know, however long you've been alive, How much has your particular representative or these particular left-wing representatives, especially in cases like we're dealing with right now, where we have an almost evenly split Congress, okay, evenly split in both houses, how often do they actually impact your life directly? More often than not, you're going to say, well, to be honest, it's not that often that they actually do. But I guarantee you, the bureaucracies that the left created, such as the FDA, the EPA, OSHA, all of these other organizations, three-letter acronyms that have been running around, and many of them having absolutely zero Article 1, Section 8 constitutionality connections, that these people who get into office, and by that I mean get their job, and end up staying there for 20, 30, 40 years, okay, is totally the deep state. And unfortunately, like one of my rumblers did point out, they're like ticks. They burrow into the skin and they stay there until they have been extricated by tweezer or whatever other methodology that you want to get. But you have to do it on a one by one. A one by one. And this is exactly what Trump is up against. So if you think that Trump's going to be able to finish this thing off in a matter of 3-4 years, yeah, I don't think so, especially when you're looking at 76% of Democrat worker bees, bureaucrats that are in the organization known as the federal government. If you actually think that they're not going to try and duck themselves and hide and then fight, okay, from the inside, yeah, well, that's exactly what they're going to do. And they're gonna go to ground. They're gonna be like that tick. They're gonna find a way to stay hidden for as long as they can until you find them and you root them out. My rumblers are all saying we got to burn them out. But anyway, we'll see what we can find. But the key here, though, is just keep in mind that these people are saying that they are literally going to not follow their commander-in-chief. And you honestly sit there and think that we're going to be able to turn this thing around? Nope. Not going to be that fast. I'm telling you. It's not going to be that quick. Trump's going to have to take it along for the long haul. Like I've said before, it took us 40 years or whatever to get to this point. It's going to take us at least that long to get out of it, I think. We make some great strides, but it's not going to be something that's going to be done quickly. Anyway, all right, before I move on to my next topic, I want to go ahead and get this out of the way because this is a new one. This is the new one. I don't know what this is. Let's see. Here we go. All right. It's a new month to rethink your health. It's spring, and we are headed into summer. Get the Tea. That's G-E-T, the T-E-A. Get the Tea is always here to help. Their all-natural herbal teas help cleanse your body from the inside out. Let us remove any excess buildup that you might be carrying so that you can wear that fabulous swimsuit that's in your closet. For the month of May, they have a new Ceylon cinnamon tablets that have higher milligrams and Jimema leaf. Both are $5 off. So both of these teas help you maintain healthy blood sugar levels. Be sure to get on their email list to receive any additional savings that they might offer. Their herbal teas and supplement formations are not found in stores. Go to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea, GETTR.com. Enter the promo code RUMBLE, RUMBLE, for 10% off of all of your order. Once again, go to GetTheT.com, enter code RUMBLE, and get $10 off your order. That's GetTheT.com, and enter promo code RUMBLE for 10% off your order of all kinds of herbal teas and specialty teas that'll help you with your weight and healthy health goals. Go to GetTheT.com and use promo code RUMBLE. All right. Okay. So, Carolyn Levitt decided to, she decided to take a trip across the street to the fake Oval Office. Wait, fake Oval Office? What are you talking about, whiskey? Well, I'll tell you. It's the fake. You remember that auditorium that they set up to make it look like Joe Biden was actually in the Oval Office when he wasn't? Yeah, well, she apparently went next door and did things a little differently. She went and used the fake set to emphasize the difference between the Trump administration and the past administration, which was, of course, the Biden administration. So here we go. Let me give you a little precursor or look into this wonderful thing that she did today.
President who was hiding, who actually used this beautiful South Court auditorium, which we're happy to be in today, but he used this like it was a fake Oval Office, weirdly, oddly. He was missing in action. He called lids at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. For those who don't know, a lid is when we tell the press to go home for the night. And he was doing that midday. That is not acceptable around here. I will tell you, we're working very early through the very late hours of the night. And the president's willing to talk to anyone, not just journalists who have really been posing as journalists, but are actually left-wing activists.
So she's standing in front of what apparently is a sound stage. You'll recall it was an auditorium that was put out for it. And yeah. So apparently last month, the New York Post also reported that Trump's top aide also gave a, quote, behind the scenes look at the fake Oval Office that was often used by Biden during several photo ops as well. Yeah, so here is another video of Alina Habba. Now, she is the Trump lawyer who basically went through and here we go.
Guys, it's finished. Look at the room that we're in Biden's fake Oval Office, everybody. And I've actually figured this out. I now know why. I now get it. Turn the camera around. There is a screen, teleprompter to the face. All I can say is the last administration was a disgrace.
Well, I guess that's what happens when you try to pull the wool over everybody's eyes and, do things fake. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I do have a fake background. All right. It is fake. I'm not hiding it at all. It's called the green screen. And the reason why I use the green screen is because I like to change up my backgrounds. I like to turn them and change them and do different things. Like in the wintertime, I do the winter cabin scenes where I play a video on the green screen behind. So, yeah. So, I'm not trying to make you guys think that I actually have all of these wonderful sets. I don't. So, I do put it together, and I've had one of my longtime whiskey warriors, Buddy Weiser, has submitted all kinds of backgrounds that I have used over the years, for this. And, so yeah, it's just one of those things that I do, but I am definitely not the president of the United States. So, anyway. Oh, good one. Good one there, G. G says it was all about, it was about as real as his signature. But yeah. Anyway. Oh yes, Nana, I love crackling fires too. I do. Nana says we love the fire crackling at a soft level. Yeah. Yeah, I do as well. And just a little side note and a little inside baseball. I've been attempting to, and I'm still thinking about how to do a show from my fire pit. Yeah. So there we go. From my fire pit. So maybe you'll get a live shot or a live show with a crackling bonfire or fire, campfire in front. Well, anyway, let me move on. Trump had an ABC reporter, journalist, whatever, in the actual Oval Office for an interview. Terry Moran. I don't watch ABC. So I have no idea. I have no idea who this guy is. But apparently, he was invited because Trump also didn't know who he was. Just understand this one thing. The guy came from ABC. Okay? The guy came from ABC. He is an ABC propagandist. All right? And so what Trump expected, I'm not exactly sure. But, well, let's just say that it was slightly contentious. Yeah, here's a few clips from those wonderful exchanges, some of the more fiery exchanges, let's say.
And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute
Wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine.
Okay, so before I continue this, I just want you to understand something. This guy just basically admitted right there. He was like, well, they're tattoos that are that can be interpreted that way. What the hell else do you think they were, Terry? I mean, seriously, what else did you think they actually were? They're sitting there saying, first off, okay, and this is how this fake news media actually works, okay? First off, he says, no, they were photoshopped. Then he goes and he admits that, no, the tattoos do exist on the guy's hand. Okay, then he says, well, you know, the tattoos can be interpreted to mean MS-13. What the hell else do you think they were? Every single MS-13 gang member has those same tattoos in the same order on every single one of their hands. How? I'm confused here, Terry. You're supposed to be a knowledgeable journalist. That's stretching it. But you're supposed to be a knowledgeable journalist, and yet here you are, not only admitting to the fact that the tattoos existed, but also that they can be interpreted to mean MS-13. Yeah, that's basically an admission, honestly, that they weren't photoshopped anymore. So I guess they're not photoshopped. Anyway. All right, let's continue with this little clip. I got a couple more for you. Hold on.
No,
Sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
Wait. They aren't there when he was in El Salvador? What? That's a lie. Because the pictures that we got of them sitting there, that actually was in it. Don't give me that. By the way, I just screwed up the whole video thing, so we're probably going to pick up someplace over. I accidentally hit the slider, and it caused some problems. But anyway, seriously, he was pictured in El Salvador at the table with whatever that first Democrat moron was who was trying to get him out, where they had, margaritas on the table. Well, fake margaritas planted there by the president of El Salvador, apparently, according to this guy. But anyway, I mean, he's so inconsequential, I don't even remember his name. But yeah, the photographs of him meeting there, it was on his knuckles. He had them there. Yes, thank you. My Whiskey Warriors, of course, keeping me straight. Van Hollen. Chris Van Hollen, I think is what it was. But anyway, I digress. We'll continue on with this ABC News fool.
In El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
Yes, they are.
But they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
Well, we'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
It's not contested. It's clear. The guy's got, you know what? The guy even has it in photos, family photos of him holding one of his kids. They're there. Just admit it, you moron. But it's I keep wanting to say NBC. Either way, it doesn't really matter. They're all freaking the same. ABC, all of the C's. ABC, CBS, NBC, they all the same. Anyway, it's not just this clip, but there was a little bit more of this, and Donald Trump rightfully calls him out on it. Take a listen to this.
Do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across a stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
Thank you.
ABC is one of the worst. He's not lying there. Now, that was toward the end of the interview. But again, yeah. So here is another clip with regards to Putin. Okay. And well, let's just take a little listen.
It was never even a thought of it happening.
It does feel like something's happening after that meeting with Zelensky in St. Peter's. You posted this on social media. There was no reason for Putin to be shooting missiles into civilian areas and cities and towns over the last few days. It makes me think that maybe...
Well, that was part of my post, but you're right. That was a part of a post.
And it says, it makes me think that maybe he doesn't want to stop the war. He's just tapping me along.
Yeah, that's possible. Sure.
He
could be tapping me along a little bit. I would say that he would like to stop the war. I think that if it weren't for me, I think he'd want to take over the whole country, personally. I always felt. So when I left, there wasn't even a chance that this would happen. When Biden got involved, I won't say whether or not he handled it properly, but obviously it wasn't good because the war started. Putin went in, the war started. I believe that Putin wanted to get all of Ukraine once he went in. And I think part of the reason he went in, he saw what happened in Afghanistan, how incompetently Milley and all these guys handled that. It was one of the greatest embarrassments of our lifetimes, but maybe in the history of our country. Okay. So Putin went in. I think Putin wanted all of Ukraine.
Right.
I think if I didn't win the election, he would have gotten all of Ukraine. I think he would have taken all of Ukraine. I think his first choice, never with me, he would have never gone in. With this group of losers, he went in, he saw what happened in Afghanistan. He said, wow, this is my chance. Because it was always the apple of his eye. I talked to him. Ukraine was the apple of his eye. I think he wanted the whole country.
You've said for
and
months
because of me, I do believe that he's willing to stop the fighting. Don't forget,
you think he wants peace?
You
think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I think he does. I think
even with the raining missiles
I think he really, his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of me, he's not going to do that.
Do you trust him? Do you trust him?
Okay, I'm gonna let that question just hold on for just a second, because I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't think that Putin wants peace. I honestly don't. Putin wants Ukraine. Putin wants to take over the whole entire country of Ukraine. Okay? Honestly. And I don't think that he wants peace. I think what he's trying to do, honestly, is he's trying to, and I don't even know why I said honestly, because I'm always honest. But anyway, I digress. I do believe that what Putin is trying to do is Putin is trying to wait out the Trump administration and the Western world. He's trying to wait out our desire to stay in this war. I mean, not us specifically on the front lines, but in terms of like sending all of our money and everything else. That's essentially what I believe is going on. Putin wants Ukraine. Putin has never made that, he's never made that more clear. Now, he's also made comments about how he doesn't want Ukraine to be part of NATO because that would put a country next to, on the border with, Russia that is a NATO country. But he's already got that in Finland. Finland got admitted to NATO in 2023. And also, not to mention Lithuania, Romania, and there's one other in that region of the world that actually already borders. Okay. Russia, that are all part of NATO. I think that Putin is using this Ukraine thing because he doesn't want to go head-to-head with NATO just yet. Now, maybe in a matter of time, provided that he survives that long, but maybe in a matter of time, he might think about doing it. But as of right now, all he wants is Ukraine. And you'll notice in terms of the path, okay, is that Ukraine has already lost parts of it to Russia. The first part was under Obama, and then the second part was under Biden. Now, what do we have in common under those two individuals? Both were weak on foreign policy. Trump is not. Okay? And so, realistically, I mean, do I honestly think that Putin wants to come to the table? No, I don't. I think he's going to have to get pushed there. I think he's going to have to get essentially encouraged, in quotes, to go there. All right? But the fact of the matter is that he doesn't want this war to end. He wants the U.S. and other Western allies to actually just leave Ukraine and walk out of it like we've been threatening to do, to walk away from the table. Well, now we can't do that anymore. And we can't do that because we have just now signed a rare earth minerals deal with Ukraine. Okay? So we have now signed, we now have a vested interest in Ukraine. And I believe that Trump is using this as again, a carrot stick approach to Putin to get him to the table, because now we have a vested interest in Ukraine with these rare earth mineral deals. It's not quite, but almost the same as though we were either A, protecting Ukraine, or B, bringing Ukraine into NATO. Now, anyway, let's move on and listen to what Donald Trump says about trusting Putin.
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am
and
happy.
Then you start hitting me with fake questions. You start telling me that a guy whose hand is covered with a tattoo doesn't have the tattoo. You know.
All right.
I mean, you're being dishonest.
No, I'm not.
Let me
No,
just
I am
tell
not,
you,
sir.
do I trust? I don't trust a lot of people, but I do think this. I think that let's say he respects me, and I believe because of me, he's not going to take over the whole. But his decision, his choice would be to take over all of Ukraine.
Okay.
It's a war that never should have happened. It did happen because of incompetent people.
Last question on this.
But it never should have happened.
If there is no peace deal, will the U.S. cut off military aid to Ukraine?
All right. Well, I think we can't do that anymore, because we now have a vested interest in the minerals deal. We have a vested interest there. So, that being said, this puts Putin at a bit of a conundrum. Does he continue or not? Or does he walk and come to the table? So, anyway. All right. Let's see. Is there another? Do I have another clip? I do have another clip. Let's go ahead and listen to this. Listen to this exchange between the moron and our president. Take a listen.
Concern out there. People are worried. Even some people who voted for you saying, I didn't sign up for this. So how do you answer those concerns?
Well, they did sign up for it, actually, and this is what I campaigned on. I said that we've been abused by other countries at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We were losing $3 to $5 billion a day on trade.
So that was in reference to his tariffs and to the tariff and the trade deficits. So, yeah, we did sign up for it. And unlike what the mainstream media wants you to think, the vast majority of Trump voters are not choosing to change their vote. They're not interested in changing their vote because of the fact that we knew this was coming. I mean, there's nothing that you can't say. I mean, somebody would sit there and say, oh, yeah, Trump lies, Trump lies, Trump lies. I have not heard a lie out of this man's mouth when it came to his campaign in particular. He campaigned on getting rid of the illegal aliens. He is working toward that. He campaigned on the idea of tariffs. He's doing that. He campaigned on the idea of cutting taxes. Well, they haven't quite got there yet, and the big, beautiful bill is still hanging out there, but it's coming back. It is coming back. So anyway, there you go. I mean, I still am waiting for them to prove that he is lying about all of this. I'm still waiting for that. We've got one more clip here. This is in regards to Abrego Garcia, the El Salvadoran citizen named Maryland man. But anyway, here we go.
We're not being treated fairly by all judges.
Oh, that's a subject. So you're saying that you don't like some of the rulings, some of the
Well,
court orders?
I think the rulings will be overturned, yeah.
All right. Well, let me ask you about one man and one court order. Kilmer Abrego Garcia. He's the Salvadoran man who crossed into this country illegally, but who is under a protective order that he not be sent back to El Salvador. Your government sent him back to El Salvador and acknowledged in court that was a mistake. And now the Supreme Court has upheld an order that you must return him facilitate his return to the United States. What are you doing to comply?
Well, the lawyer that said it was a mistake was here a long time, was not appointed by us, should not have said that. Should not have said that. And just so you understand, the person that you're talking about, you're making this person sound. This is a MS-13 gang member, a tough cookie, been in lots of skirmishes, beat the hell out of his wife, and the wife was petrified to even talk about him, okay? This is not an innocent, wonderful gentleman from Maryland.
I'm not saying he's a good guy. It's about the rule of law. The order from the Supreme Court stands,
He came
sir.
into our country illegally.
You could get him.
Okay, so I just want to make this clear. Okay, first of all, he is an El Salvadoran citizen. Okay? Proven. He's an MS-13 gang member. Proven by two, not one, but two separate immigration hearings with separate immigration judges. And not to mention his tattoos. 3, the reason for him being held back and not being sent to El Salvador was dealing with a rival gang, which no longer exists, according to all reports. 3, he has, prior to that, was under deportation orders, just not to El Salvador. However, after the fact, the MS-13 gang was determined to be a terrorist organization, and he was classified as a terrorist, being a member of MS-13. Therefore, all previous orders and everything else to try and protect him from getting killed, all of that is null and void. He is gone as far as the massive orders are concerned. So, again, you can cry for Abrego Garcia if you want, but the man is not a saint. He's not anywhere near a saint. And he is a El Salvadoran citizen who is back in El Salvador where he needs to be. And no matter what the press seems to think, we, as the United States, do not have the legal ability, okay? The legal ability to go in and literally abduct an El Salvadoran citizen to bring him back here to the United States just to deport him again somewhere else. Yeah. Nope. I'm sorry. You guys are barking up the wrong freaking tree all over again. Anyway. I don't know why. I don't know why President Trump does this. I have a feeling I know. I have a feeling I understand he does this because he wants to demonstrate that he is not afraid to go in front of the press, an unfriendly press. But I really, really think that it is, it's a waste of his time. It really is. First of all, the Democrats who watch these shows, they're just going to sit there and scream at the freaking screen. They're going to sit there and scream at the screen and tell President Trump that he's a liar and, all kinds of other lies, fake news about him. That's assuming that they even get that way. But honestly, and by the way, the Supreme Court did say facilitate. They didn't say you had to bring him back. And even the word facilitate was sort of questionable in terms of what exactly do you want him to do? The guy's already gone. Okay? The guy's already gone. That's just it. There's nothing that can be done. He's already out of here. Anyway. All right. So, on a positive note, we've finished the first 100 days. And there was something that I don't think a lot of people noticed because, let's face it, not very many people these days are really paying attention to our veterans. But here, there was an article in Red State, and I just want to point this out. The headline reads, "During Trump's first 100 days, veterans come first." Okay, I'd like to understand, realistically, how an individual who is supposed to be calling out World War II veterans and people and those who died in World War II as suckers and losers, why would he prioritize veterans? See, this is another one of those, I can't think of the term. I'm thinking of dichotomies, and I think that's it. That might be the right word here, but this is one of the strange things about and regarding the Trump administration, where on the one hand, he's supposed to hate veterans. He's supposed to hate military members. He's supposed to think of them as, again, suckers and losers, which, by the way, that was a lie. Okay, that was a lie. But here, veterans come first in this article. So a couple of things happened. This is an op-ed in the D.C. Journal. Secretary Collins, and Secretary Collins is the Veteran Affairs Secretary under President Trump. He announced the ways that the VA has changed during Trump's first 100 days. Here's what he said. About 100 days ago, the Department of Veterans Affairs was led by the Biden administration officials who had lost sight of what matters most to veterans. VA was dabbling in DEI and gender ideology, abusing telework, remote work privileges to the detriment of veterans, wasting hundreds of millions of dollars on duplicative and unnecessary contracts and slow-walking critical programs like electronic health record modernization. The results of that experiment in poor management were clear. Wait times for the VA health care got worse under the Biden administration, as did the department's disability benefits claim backlog. He continues, and here's some of the changes that have happened. 100 days into the second Trump administration, and the VA is no longer content with poor results. Under President Trump's leadership, we have already stripped away many of the costly distractions that were coming between VA beneficiaries and the benefits they have earned. And we're looking to make even more historic reforms to better serve veterans. President Trump's mandate to shake up Washington and make it work better for the American people is guiding our efforts to put veterans first at the department. In the first week of the Trump administration, of the second Trump administration, we stopped VA's wasteful spending on DEI initiatives, which only divided veterans and staff. More importantly, the most important identity to us is veteran. And by ending DEI programs, we now have $14 million more to spend on our core constituency. So, Secretary Collins also announced in a post on X that veterans will receive the health care choices they were promised under the Mission Act. They are processing a record number of disability claims. They are accelerating the deployment of the VA's electronic health records system after the program was nearly dormant for 2 years under the Biden administration. And they are taking thousands of employees off remote work and bringing them back to the office where they can work as a team to better serve veterans. Now, there's a graphic here that he posted on X that also has a few other things, but the fact of the matter is that, at least according to Secretary Collins, the Trump administration is putting veterans first. That veterans, those men and women who he was demonized for falsely accused of saying that they were suckers and losers, he's putting them first. I don't understand how you could say that he believes that veterans are suckers and losers when in reality, everything he is doing is going to benefit them. Again, a falsehood, fake news. By the way, that suckers and losers quote and hoax was orchestrated by none other than Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic. which Donald Trump, I guess, has said that he would sit down with him, but still hasn't done so as of yet. Because believe me, that would be plastered everywhere. Anyway. Well, if you're wondering about the money that's being spent and the inefficiencies, I mean, let's not even talk about all of the stuff that Doge has uncovered. But here's another uncovering. Now, I know, as well as anybody else who works in the actual business world understands, that if you have a program that puts you into a financial hole and does not present a return on investment, also known as an ROI, that is of any value, that program will immediately get shuttered because businesses don't like to lose money. The federal government, however, doesn't seem to give a flying you-know-what when it comes to stuff like that because it's not their money. It's taxpayers' money. And they don't care about the results. Again, that whole Milton Friedman third-party payer problem. All right? Well, here in the Daily Wire, the federal program known as Job Corps spends up to $764,000 per graduate. Participants only go on to earn roughly $17,000 annually. Now, apparently, this is a $1.8 billion job training program that was put into place for impoverished youth. Well, they could be Doge's next target after the dismal stats are revealed. So here's what it is. So this is a Labor Department program that is designed to train 16 to 24-year-olds to join the workforce. They spend more per person annually than even the Ivy League colleges that we so lovingly hate. But here's the thing. Even though they spend all of this additional money for all of these people, the participants only make up minimum wage on average. And it's raising questions. It's beginning to raise questions as to whether or not this program should continue to exist. So the Job Corps pays teenage runaways, high school dropouts, and 20-something ex-cons to live in these dormitories, receive their GEDs, and get vocational training. The national cost per graduate was $188,000, with the average graduate staying roughly 13 and a half months. Of the more than 110 campuses, the 10 least efficient averaged a cost of $385,000 per graduate. Job Corps participants earn just under $17,000 per year on average after leaving the program, according to some new government data. Nearly $2 billion in federal taxpayer money is spent annually on residential Job Corps campuses, which is a boon, of course, for the for-profit contractors who run them. But the dismal statistics about the program's efficacy have never been fully public until the Trump administration released a transparency report last week. Now, here's the thing. And again, as much as I feel bad about this entire situation, as much as I feel bad about people who are essentially underprivileged and have fallen into a life of crime or drugs or whatever reason, and they go into this Job Corps program, once again, I bring back the entire point. Where in the Constitution, under Article 1, Section 8, does Job Corps fit? Where it is the federal government's constitutionally mandated responsibility to provide this stuff for it. It's not. It's not. I guarantee you, it's not there. And what's even worse, though, is that even though we're spending $2 billion, in fact, federal taxpayer money annually, the Job Corps only has less than a 1/3 graduation rate. That's right. It's only 32% who graduate. Although statistics have been typically calculated to use a misleading definition of what a graduate is, which of course bumped the number up slightly to 39%. You're still talking about a 1/3 return on an investment that is pretty expensive. Okay? Pretty expensive. So according to the piece, of about 30,000 enrollees for the 2023-2024 school year, roughly 10,000 were expelled for misconduct, 5,000 were booted for absconding, and 5,000 dropped out for other reasons. The average cost per enrollee, including those who dropped out or were expelled, was around $50,000 with an average stay of about 7.5 months. Now that works out to roughly $80,000 per year. Okay? This is not... Oh, and by the way, too, let's not forget the fact that the Daily Wire pointed out this month that thousands of young people have been victims of assault and other crimes at Job Corps campuses, including a transgender identifying girl who was assigned to live with a 23-year-old man who was charged with raping her. Yeah. So a decade of oversight by government auditors and news media has found that the program attracts criminals and that some staff just look the other way to avoid expelling members, which would lead to a loss in revenue or, of course, negative attention, which could jeopardize the program. Yeah, okay. So at the Old Dominion campus, which is one of their campuses that has 95 enrollees, the campus officially reported 46 disciplinary infractions. At the Gary campus in San Marcos, Texas, there were 633 disciplinary incidents among the 1,191 enrollees. That's more than 50%, folks. It's just over 50%. At the Oconaluftee campus in Cherokee, North Carolina, they had 205 infractions over 162 enrollees. That's more than one per person. Yeah. So the latest quarter of data showed that 72% of graduates, now keep in mind, that's 72% of a 1/3 graduation rate, were placed in jobs, though past investigations have found that some Job Corps centers cooked the books on those numbers. The Gadsden campus in Alabama reported a 40% job placement rate, while the Gulfport campus in Mississippi claimed 100%. Okay. So, yeah. And no, Palms, I was basically following along with the article. I was reading the article on that particular point. Anyway. So here we have another failed program that isn't even part of the constitutionally mandated responsibility of the federal government. And yet, I mean, if you want these things, okay, fund it privately. Seriously. I mean, fund it privately. All right? That's what private funding is for. And yes, I understand that there is going to be a lack of funding in some cases because people are not going to want to give over their hard-earned money on failed processes, procedures, and programs. It's just not going to happen. They want to know that their money is being... I mean, this is part of the reason why people are sitting here and saying, you know, oh, well, give to the Red Cross. Well, the Red Cross doesn't have a return on investment very much in terms of every dollar that's spent. Very few actual, unfortunately, very few actual programs and charities actually have the money that actually gets to kids or the recipients on a regular basis in a high amount or a high degree of dollars. Yeah. This is just one other thing that government, of course, sucks at. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, you got to laugh occasionally. I mean, I know it's kind of hard to after I just read to you about that article, but you definitely got to laugh occasionally, especially when you have these clever senators such as Senator Hawley. I swear, every time I hear that guy speak, he is like up here in terms of, and by up here, I mean high, on the list of people who have an incredible amount of witticism and knowledge, and he's just an incredibly smart individual. I'm just saying. Well, Senator Hawley has taken a jab at the former and current emeritus House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi. He's put forth and brought back the Pelosi Act, which the Pelosi Act, of course, is banning lawmakers from actual stock trading. I love this. This is great. It's dubbed now listen to this, okay, and spell it with me, preventing elected leaders from owning securities and investments. Now, the word from and are lowercase. So here we go. So you have the preventing, P, elected, E, leaders, L, owning, O, securities, S, and investments, known as the Pelosi Act. Now, he first introduced this proposal back in the 118th Congress in 2023. However, it didn't progress under the Biden administration. However, nowadays, we might just actually get it. Hawley said, quote, members of Congress should be fighting for the people they were elected to serve, not day trading at the expense of their constituents. Now, me personally, I'm going to tell you, I honestly think that they should be banned from taking any money other than their salary. That's it. Now, if they own businesses outside of it, like prior to, they can do like the law says, which is hand over the reins to somebody else and then, of course, pick them back up after they get out of office. But during the time in office, in order to prevent the mere appearance of an impropriety, you can literally take no money from anybody other than your government salary. I guarantee you, if there was a rule or a law that had that in it, I guarantee you we would get rid of all of these corrupt sons of pieces of garbage. Anyway, he continued and said, Americans have seen politician after politician turn a profit using information not available to the general public. It's time we ban all members of Congress from trading and holding stocks and restore America's trust in our nation's legislative body. I'm behind you there, Josh. I am right behind you there. And Libs of TikTok posted on X. You can see it right here on the screen. If you're not watching on the video portion of the program, you really should. Head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It's free. And you can watch the video portion of the program. But here, Libs of TikTok. Pelosi has an annual salary of somewhere between $174,000 and $223,000 per year. Her estimated net worth is $240 million. $240 million on a career where all she has done is sit in public service. Where did that money come from? This is something that I think Congress desperately needs to look at. But of course, just like with term limits and the idea of putting term limits and codifying them into law, this probably isn't going to go anywhere because the vast majority are in on this. I mean, again, I point out AOC as a freshman representative in the House of Representatives, $174,000, and she was like valued at something like 10 million or 20 million or whatever it was in her first year. Yeah. Anyway, this is just ridiculous. Hey, let's take a quick listen to what Josh Hawley has to say, if I can get it up here. And I mean the video. Okay.
And I just think that this is such a simple proposition. The American people, when I go home and I say to folks, they ask me about stock trading, here's the thing that absolutely stuns them. They can't believe that it's legal already. They can't believe we can currently do it. Most members of the public think it's already banned. And when I say actually it's 100% legal, they say why? And there's no good answer to that question. We should be here to focus on the public's business, not private gain. We shouldn't be here day trading. We shouldn't be here focusing on our stock portfolios. We should be here doing what the American people sent us to do. And that's what this bill is about. With that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman. And I just think that this is such a simple proposition. The American people.
By the way, he's not wrong. And yet we have people on Wall Street and inside trading organizations. We have this organization known as the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. Okay? The SEC investigates insider trading, and yet here Congress does it and legally can do it and is able to do it. Anyway, I'm right there with you, Mr. Hawley, or Senator Hawley, I should say. And why this isn't a no-brainer, this is one of those no-brainer ones I just think that needs to happen. It just needs to happen. Plain and simple. All right. Let me see here. What are we looking at in terms of time? Okay. So I do have a few more articles, a few more news pieces and bits to discuss, and then we'll get on to our new game called Where's Whiskey? But before we get there, you remember mifepristone? Mifepristone? Yeah, I think I've pronounced it correctly. It's Mifepristone. Remember that wonderful wonder drug that, after the Dobbs decision overturned Roe v. Wade, that, the country went to the Supreme Court. They were all talking about this wonderful special, abortion pill called mifepristone, and that it was so safe and everything needed to, it was so safe. It was so wonderful that it had to be given to all kinds of different people. It had to be allowed to be plastered all over the country, and that there were even states that were saying, yeah, we're going to block the sale of this. You can't even get it at a pharmacy within our state. And oh my gosh, that just turned the left upside down, backwards, twisted them into a pretzel, all kinds of different things. In fact, even in my state, we had people who were ancient, like Senator Murray, who were, oh my gosh, on the left side of righteousness, saying that this thing needs to go. Anyway. There's now a new study out that shows that mifepristone. Oh, and let's not even mention the fact that there were people, young women, who died from complications from taking mifepristone. All right. And the left kept using them as poster children for why abortion needs to be nationalized. And I'm talking about the young ladies that were in, I think it was Georgia and Texas, if I recall correctly. And both of them were shown to have died from complications. Oh, sorry, it was North Carolina and Georgia. Or Georgia, she tried to go to North Carolina to get help. But anyway, I digress, whatever it was. The point being is that the left kept saying, "Oh, no. This wasn't a problem with the drug. This was because, abortion was not allowed." Well, there's a study, folks, that came out that is directly refuting the FDA's original documentation that showed that mifepristone was safe. Okay? They constantly say that mifepristone is safe and effective. It's a method safe and effective for terminating an unwanted pregnancy. However, according to a new analysis of that particular abortion pill, related medical insurance claims demonstrates that the risk of users developing life-threatening complications after use was actually 22 times higher than what the FDA and the abortion pill Mifeprex manufacturers Danaco Laboratories originally reported. That's right. The Ethics and Public Policy Center made the shocking discovery after analyzing Medicaid, TRICARE, Medicare, and Department of Veterans Affairs, and as well as private medical insurance claims data. Now, it discovered, and this is the crux of this, it discovered that between 2017 and 2023, approximately 692,873 women received 865,727 mifepristone prescriptions. However, roughly 10%, just under 11%, at 10.9, or roughly 94,605 of those prescriptions that were handed out resulted in potentially life-threatening or serious adverse events, such as emergency room visits, hemorrhages, surgical abortion, infections, sepsis, and other nonspecific complications for women who had used that pill within 45 days. Now, when it was adjusted for some women who suffer from adverse events in multiple categories, the rate was actually even higher than 10.9. It was 10.93. That particular rate, by the way, is 22 times higher than the FDA's original reported 0.5%. Folks, this is no different than the whole COVID vaccine kind of thing, okay? They put this out there thinking, making it sound like, oh yeah, this is safe, this is effective, you're going to be okay. But yet people are having complications with it. Now, they can't say that they're having complications with it, because if they do, that goes against the narrative, which is essentially that in this particular case, that this pill is safe and effective to terminate your pregnancy, to terminate your baby. Yeah. Like I say, abortions are 100% deadly for the baby. They will always end up with the ending of a life. Okay? I don't understand where they're even going to. By the way, the observation window of 45 days was a conservative 45 days, because at least some of the complications occur as late as 72 days. So the Ethics and Public Policy Center President Ryan Anderson said, quote, "This study is a statistical equivalent of a Category 5 hurricane hitting the prevailing narrative of the abortion industry. It reveals, based on real-world data, the shocking number of women who suffer serious medical consequences because of the abortion pill. And once again, those poster children and I'm calling them poster children, these women who tragically lost their lives because they couldn't handle, for whatever reason, bringing another life into this world, okay, that these pills are safe and effective, and yet they cause so many complications that this is just ridiculous. Now, the FDA, according to the piece here, which is in Wokespy, by the way, let's see who is the oh, it doesn't say. So the piece is in Wokespy, but the FDA arrived at its 0.5 figure, which was crucial in approving that pill after analyzing only 10 clinical trials involving just under 31,000 women. However, the test subjects by themselves were hand-selected, pre-screened, generally healthy women, okay, thus potentially not necessarily reflective of the general female population. Additionally, the tests used potentially outdated methods, and some were carried on outside of the United States. Similarly, the EPPC study that I just was talking about claims that the kill pill prescribers are not mandated to report adverse effects unless a patient dies. Yeah. So the study blasted, of course, the FDA's findings. Folks, I'm telling you, there are times where we have been completely snowed with the idea of doing these things. These are just, I mean, this is bad stuff, really bad stuff, honestly. And we need to be able to bring these kinds of things to the forefront, just like with the COVID vaccine. Okay. Came from, the whole idea that the COVID vaccine was going to protect you. It was going to keep you from getting it. You couldn't pass it to other people. Yeah, we didn't have longitudinal data at the time on it. And now we're just starting to gain some of that longitudinal data. There's a reason why it takes 10 to 15 years to bring a drug to market for the human beings. And the reason being is because of the fact that we don't know what the long-term effects are going to be. That's what it's supposed to be. All right. Well, in other fake news, yes, I know I don't normally talk about this woman because she frankly is the bane of many existence, but Joy Reid has decided to rewrite history. Joy Reid says that America itself is going to die off like the Roman Empire if people keep voting to, quote, distill it to white folks. Yes, that's right. The racist Joy Reid is saying that because of the fact that people in America are voting for white people, that this is why we're going to die off and why the Roman Empire fell. No, Joy. The Roman Empire fell because of corruption and a lack of strong leadership. Among other things, there were several other things that contributed, but the number one reason was corruption and debauchery. That's it. That is it. Oh, and I see a thing based on the last conversation that we had with regards to abortion. The fact of the matter was, in terms of abortion, because let's see, a newcomer to the chat, Jason Holmes, asked the question if where is it? Did everyone here aware of where the pro-abortion movement came from? Okay, so Jason, here's the answer. As far as the pro-abortion movement itself, no. However, Planned Parenthood, which was created by Margaret Sanger, who is a eugenics. She was a eugenics practitioner. She created Planned Parenthood and the idea of abortion, and also placed Planned Parenthood clinics as they grew into impoverished areas because of the fact that she did want to, and this is factual evidence, she wanted to get rid of black babies in America, blacks in America. So now, as far as the movement itself, that's something else. But as far as here in America with the idea of Planned Parenthood and abortions, it was Margaret Sanger who founded Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood was and is the largest recipient and benefactor when it comes to abortions, not only selling off stem cells and other fetal parts after they are done with the abortions, but that's how they get their money. So, yeah. Anyway. So there you go, as far as that goes. So I'm not exactly sure if that's what you were looking for, but there you go. Speaking of, just really quickly before we get to Where's Whiskey, speaking of the last election cycle, Tim Walz has finally told us why he was picked for being VP. And no, that was the Eurythmics 3 Chevy. 3 Chevy asked, wasn't eugenics the group that Annie Lennox was in? No, it was the Eurythmics was that one. Anyway. All right. So anyway, let me get back to Tim Walz. So Tim Walz finally tells everybody that Harris picked him for VP because he was going to, quote unquote, code talk to white guys. That he basically was picked because he could relate to white men watching football, fixing their truck, and put them at ease. The Minnesota governor apparently described himself when he was sitting at the Harvard Kennedy School Forum Monday night. He basically described himself as the permission structure for the white men of rural America to go ahead and vote for Democrats. Oh my gosh. That's why. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he was just like Kamala Harris was picked because she was a black woman. Well, could play as a black woman because we all know that she's not a black woman. She is Indian, but could play as a black woman. That's why she was picked to be Biden's VP. Walz was picked to potentially be Harris's VP because she could relate to white guys. Because he could relate to white guys. So she was hoping to pick up the white male vote. Yeah, we already knew all that. All right. Let's get on to the newest game. First submission in this newest game. And unfortunately, I don't have a stinger, a fancy thing just yet. I have some ideas, but it's going to take me a bit because it includes some animations and stuff that I'm not quite prepared to be able to do. But this is the first rendition, the first edition of the segment known as Where's Whiskey? Now, for those of you that weren't on the program last night or the night before, whenever I announced this, the way this works is it kind of works like Where's Waldo? Somewhere in the following photo that I'm going to show you is a memorabilia of something of this program. Now, keep in mind, okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be American Perspective related. It can also be Whiskey Musings related, which is where American Perspective came from. This show used to be called Whiskey Musings, and I had a Whiskey Musings logo. So that's a bit of a curveball for those of you who haven't been following me for the very longest time. But if you go back and take a look at the Whiskey Musings logo or whatever, you can definitely see what it looks like, okay? So we have American Perspective and Whiskey Musings. It can be just about anything. It can even be my likeness. It could be the hat. It could be, buttons that we handed out that were Whiskey Musings buttons. It could be anything along those lines that is associated with something on this program, whether it's Whiskey Musings or American Perspective. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and step out of the way. By step out of the way, I mean move my camera such that I'm going to show you this photo. So somewhere in this photo, okay, is something that is attached to this show. Whether it's like I said, an American Perspective, or even going so far back as some of my Whiskey Warriors do, all the way back into the back end, the past, known as Musings Broadcast. And take a look at this photo. And you should be able to hopefully find where the thing is. I promise you, it is there. And I can tell you that when I got sent this photo, because I actually got sent 4 photos altogether. The 3 others are more blown up shots, but that's okay. I don't need it because I actually found it fairly quickly. But then again, yeah. So, yeah, some of my folks are sitting here saying, Pet of the Week. That's Pet of the Week Pond. Yep, that's right. It is 3 Chevy's Koi Pond. And believe me, if you haven't seen the shots on this, he has done a fantastic job with this corner. Someday I hope to get down into that neck of the woods and be able to see it live and in person. But yeah, so this is Where's Whiskey? Okay, I'm going to give you probably another 10 or 15 seconds. And then what I'll do is I will zoom into, not all the way, but I will zoom in a little bit more, kind of cut out some of the outside, images to get closer on where it might be. And yes, this is his newly cleaned pond, by the way. He just went through and cleaned it out. Give you another 5 seconds to see if you can find it. And then I'll zoom in a little bit into an area where it might be. Here we go. Give it just a couple. All right, I'm going to slide in here just a little bit more to help cut out some of the excess so that maybe you can find it. Here we go. All right, that's probably close enough. I'll give you another few seconds here. Somebody's getting on it. I see somebody might be getting a little close. Getting warmer. Getting some warmer here. All right, we'll give this just a couple more. A little bit more. Here, I'll kind of slide in just a little bit more. Just a little tiny bit more. There we go. We're getting in a little bit closer now to kind of see where it is. Uh-oh, Bonnie is saying she seems to think she sees it. Bam thinks she sees it. G is basically saying, yeah, okay. Yep, you guys, I think you guys have got it. Come on, somebody yell ollie oxen free. Oh, Jarhead is saying my screen's too small. I'm sorry. But anyway, oh, there. Ms. T is calling out where it might be. Oh, Bonnie's got it. Bonnie says, yep, I see it. She says she sees it. All right. Okay, here we go. Ready? I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in on it. There it is. It's kind of pixelated. But there it is right there. But here it is in the closer up picture. There you go. That is where it was. It is a Whiskey Musings button that was placed on the rock. And there it is. So there's your first ever. Yep. Yeah. Ms. T. Yep. That's what I saw. Yep. So there you go. All right. Now you guys can understand what this is. So Where's Whiskey? There it is. Where's Whiskey? And well, apparently I'm sitting on a rock in the middle of a pond. I like the water somewhat, but I don't know if I wanted to necessarily be a part of the fish. But hey, that's okay. That's all right. Okay, folks. So that is how the Where's Whiskey is going to work. So here is your challenge. Your challenge is to come up with, a scene just like what you saw. It doesn't matter where it is or what it is, but you need to take an article, some article that represents this show. Again, whether it's the hat, whether it's, because some of you have gotten the hat, whether it's maybe a T-shirt of mine, maybe you've purchased some logo gear or something like that. Maybe you have a whiskey button, a Whiskey Musings button or something along those lines, but something for the show. You could even maybe print out my likeness or something and you want to put it in. And we're going to play this. Well, right now we'll just call it once a week. But we're going to play this, and so go around, get creative. Find ways to hide me or hide a representative of the show in places like this, and we'll play Where's Whiskey once again. So there you go. Yeah, yes, Nana, even a tube top. By the way, that's a gator, not a tube top. But, she's small enough that she can fit one. Yes, she can fit a gator as a tube top. Anyway, so there you go. So there is Where's Whiskey. So, all right. Thank you, 3 Chevy, for sending that in. That was fantastic. You jumped right on it as soon as I announced it. I do appreciate that. All right, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure you search up the American Perspective channel. And once you find that channel, hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Also, too, don't forget to hit those thumbs up buttons across all of my platforms, whether it is YouTube, X, Facebook, and, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.